They think you're weak. They think you'll fall. They think the storm inside you can be tamed. But they're wrong. They have no idea the fire you've been hiding, the darkness you've been mastering, the power they'll never touch, every doubt they cast, every word meant to cut, every attempt to bury you. It didn't break you. It built you. Stronger, smarter, more dangerous than they ever imagined. And now you're walking into a world that tried to cage you untouchable, unstoppable, and completely beyond their reach. This isn't about revenge. It's about awakening. It's about awakening. It's about rising silently while the world underestimates you. Every eye on you is blind to your real strength. Every voice trying to define you is irrelevant. You exist on a level they can't even imagine, and the terrifying truth for them, it's already too late. The shadows they ignored became your kingdom. Their whispers became your fuel. Their underestimation became your weapon. And when they finally notice, it will be too late to catch up. The shadows, most people are afraid of them. They think shadows are just the absence of light, but they're wrong. Shadows are where truth hides, where masks fall, and where the real war begins. The shadows they never saw weren't just around you, they were inside. And while the world kept staring at the version of you under the sunlight, they had no idea what was growing in the darkness. You see, the thing about shadows is that they don't lie. They show the outline of what's real without decoration, without filter. In your shadows, you were raw, stripped of every false comfort, every empty cheer, every fake hand that claimed to help you. Down there in the black, you faced yourself without escape. And that's where the building began. They never saw the nights where your chest felt like a locked box filled with fire. They never saw the moments where the silence was so loud it drowned your own thoughts. They never saw you standing at the edge of your own patience, holding yourself together with threads thinner than air. But here's the thing, you survived there. And that survival didn't come with applause or validation. It came with grit, with teeth clenched, with a voice in your head whispering, "You can't end here, not like this." The shadows they never saw were not places of weakness. They were your training ground. Every insult you swallowed without reacting. Every humiliation you endured without flinching. Every time you walked away instead of collapsing. Those weren't signs of defeat. Those were your silent victories. The world thought you disappeared, but you did. You retreated. And there's a difference. Retreat isn't surrender, it's preparation. You stepped out of their noise and into your own stillness, where you could finally hear the truth that mattered. The only person who decides your worth is you. In those unseen hours, you became someone else. Someone harder, someone clearer, someone immune to the cheap tricks they used to control you. You built an armor not made of steel, but of decisions. Decisions never to go back, never to let small minds cage you again. The shadows they never saw, those were your force. Every tear that fell in secret became molten iron in your spine. Every night you sat alone, staring at the ceiling, became a blueprint for a different future. Every time you thought, "I can't take this anymore," but still woke up the next morning, you sharpened the blade they now feel. They think strength is loud, shouting, showing, flaunting. But the truest strength is silent. It moves like a ghost. It builds like a storm. It doesn't warn you before it arrives, and by the time it does, it's too late to prepare. And when you finally step out of those shadows, they won't even recognize you. Because the version of you that entered that darkness didn't survive. It evolved. It grew teeth. It learned how to hunt. The shadows they never saw were never your prison. They were your kingdom. And now, the one who walks out of them doesn't beg to be understood. You don't need them to see where you've been, because the results will speak louder than your history. They'll keep guessing, wondering how you built this power, but they'll never know the truth. Because the truth was born in a place they were too weak to enter. Fire doesn't start with a roar. It starts with a spark, small, almost invisible. Something most people would ignore, something they'd step over without noticing. But you felt it. That spark was the first sign that the darkness wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The rising fire wasn't sudden. It didn't explode in one dramatic moment. No, it grew quietly, dangerously, like something alive. It fed on every wound they left, every word they threw like knives, every empty promise you learned to stop waiting for. And the more they tried to put it out with doubt and dismissal, the more oxygen you gave it in secret. The fire didn't burn to destroy you, it burned to change you. At first it was just survival heat, enough to keep you standing when everything in you wanted to collapse. But soon it became something different. It became hunger. Hunger to prove, not to them but to yourself, that the person they buried wasn't gone. That somewhere in that silence there was still a pulse. And when that pulse turned into a heartbeat, that heartbeat started pounding with one truth. I will not stay here. The rising fire didn't come from anger alone. Anger fades. It came from clarity. The moment you realized that you didn't owe anyone an explanation for your comeback, that your life didn't need their permission slip, that you could burn without asking who might get scorched. Every morning you woke up in the aftermath of their doubt. The fire spread a little more. Every time you refused to break, the heat climbed higher. Every time you kept moving when standing still would have been easier, the flames learned to dance. And here's the beauty of fire. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't care who understands it. Fire consumes. Fire transforms. Fire leaves nothing the same. You weren't just healing. You were becoming unrecognizable. The same hands that once trembled with fear now curled into fists. Not to fight recklessly, but to hold the weight of the person you were becoming. The same voice that once shook when you spoke now carried words that cut through the air like glass. The same eyes that once searched for someone to save you now saw only one reflection worth following, your own. They'll never admit it, but they feel it now. They see something in you they can't put a name on. They sense the heat, but they can't see the source. And that's the beauty of the rising fire. It burns from within, and no one can reach it to put it out. You're not just surviving anymore, you're building momentum. You're stepping into rooms without asking to be there. You're speaking without waiting for a microphone to be handed to you. You're moving through the world as though the fire is your heartbeat, and every beat says the same thing: try me now. The rising fire doesn't flicker. It doesn't waver when the wind blows. Because this isn't a candlelight someone can snuff out. It's a furnace you built from the ground up. And the only thing stronger than the heat itself is your control over it. Let them wonder where it came from. Let them guess what you're about to do next. They'll never understand that the real danger isn't how bright you burn. It's that you'll never burn out. Because once the fire rises, it doesn't go back to sleep. There's always a moment. Not a day, not a month. 1 second where everything you thought you knew snaps. And you see the truth so clearly, it feels like the air itself changes. That's the turning point. The place where you stop being the version of yourself they think they can control, and you become something they'll never understand. For you, the turning point didn't come with applause. It wasn't some grand announcement. No one was watching. No one was cheering. In fact, the world probably thought you were losing. You were quiet. You were distant. You were pulling away from the noise. And that's exactly when it happened. The click inside your mind that said enough. Enough waiting for people to see your worth. Enough explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Enough chasing a place in rooms that were never built for you. The turning point is where desperation dies and focus is born. It's where you stop asking the question, why me? And start saying, watch me. It's not anger that pushes you, anger fades too fast. It's resolve, the kind that settles into your bones and makes you move different. You stop wasting energy on battles that don't matter. You stop trying to wake people who are committed to sleeping. Through your story, you stop handing out your map to people who will only use it to sabotage your journey. At the turning point, you learn that silence is not weakness. It's strategy. You learn that distance is not running away. It's removing yourself from the circus so you can build your empire without clowns in the way. You learn that solitude isn't punishment, it's power. This is the moment where your eyes change. People notice it, even if they don't say it out loud. There's a steadiness in your stare now, like you've seen the worst and you're still here. That's the kind of look that makes them nervous, because they can't tell if you're planning your next move or if you've already made it. You begin to move like someone with nothing to lose, because in truth you've already lost what mattered most, and you survived it. That makes you dangerous. That makes you unpredictable. They can't figure out what scares you anymore, because the answer is simple: nothing. The turning point is freedom, not the freedom they sell you in slogans and speeches. The real kind, the kind that comes from no longer being chained to their opinions, their timelines, their limits. You've stopped measuring yourself with rulers they made just to keep you small. From here, your decisions get sharper, your steps get faster, your patience gets colder. You don't rush anymore, but you don't pause for anyone either. You understand that this isn't a race you're running. It's a war you're winning, one silent move at a time. And the best part, the turning point isn't just about what changes in you, it's about what it takes away from them. Because once you step over that line, they lose their grip. Their words don't cut like they used to. Their absence doesn't sting. Their approval doesn't shine. They become background noise. The turning point is where you stop being in their story, and they become nothing more than a sentence in yours. And once you cross it, there's no going back. Being untouchable isn't about strength others can see. It's about a power so quiet, so controlled, that it moves through life like a shadow, unseen, yet undeniable. People spend their lives chasing visibility, attention, recognition, but the untouchable don't need any of it. You've learned that the less they know about you, the more afraid they are of what they can't measure. They can't touch what doesn't exist in the space they can reach. That's your new law. You don't hand them your map. You don't explain your motives. You don't justify your choices. Every step you take, every move you make becomes a puzzle they'll never solve. And that's exactly the point. Being untouchable starts with control. Control over emotion, control over action, control over perception. You've burned every bridge that led to validation from people who never deserved it. You've learned to feel without reaction, to observe without interference, to move without leaving tracks. They're still screaming in their minds, trying to figure out how someone so quiet could carry so much fire, and you smile, not because you're cruel, but because they'll never understand. The untouchable doesn't rely on luck or timing. You've created your own rules, your own rhythm, your own game. Every failure you survive becomes a weapon. Every insult you swallowed becomes armor, and every moment they thought you were broken becomes proof that you are unstoppable. They never saw this coming because they never looked where it mattered. Inside the storm you carry in silence. People confuse being untouchable with being untouching, but there's a difference. Untouchable doesn't mean distant from the world, it means impervious to its chaos. You can walk into a room full of chaos and leave it unchanged, because nothing in there can shake you anymore. You don't fight with fists or words, you fight with presence, with resolve, with the energy that whispers, I exist on my own terms and nothing can reach me here. The art of being untouchable is also knowing that silence is power. Every word you don't speak builds tension. Every smile you don't offer hides your intent. Every glance you withhold leaves them guessing. People fear what they can't predict, and in that fear you find your advantage. They will try to provoke you, distract you, manipulate you, but untouchable minds do not react. They respond, they calculate, they wait, and they strike only when the moment serves their purpose. This state is not achieved overnight. It comes from surviving what others call unbearable, from walking through fire without flinching, and from building an inner world so strong that the outside has no power to break it. You've turned your scars into lessons, your pain into strategy, and your setbacks into fuel. Every step forward now is deliberate, precise, and lethal in its subtlety. The untouchable doesn't boast. They don't need validation. They exist above the reach of petty judgment. And the truth is, no one will ever know the full story of how you became this way, because those who could understand it are either gone or powerless to touch it. Your power is invisible until it hits, and by then it's too late. They'll try to corner you. They'll try to break the rhythm, but they will fail, because being untouchable isn't about avoiding attacks. It's about being untouchable while surrounded by them. They can see the surface. They can guess your moves, but the real you, the untouchable you, is a labyrinth, a storm, a shadow they can't penetrate. And that's the ultimate art: to walk freely, speak softly, move strategically, and let the world burn with confusion while you remain untouchable, unshakable, unshakable, unstoppable. Revenge is overrated. Loud revenge is predictable. Public revenge is for the weak who crave applause. The real power, the kind that changes the game, lives in silence. It grows quietly, unseen, but by the time it arrives, it's unstoppable. This is silent revenge. The kind that doesn't announce itself but leaves an echo no one can ignore. You've already been underestimated. They've laughed at your fall, mocked your failures, and whispered behind your back. And yet you didn't respond. You didn't fight back immediately. You observed. You calculated. You waited. Every time they thought they had won, they were unknowingly sharpening the weapon that now rests in your hands. Every insult they threw only added fuel to a fire they could never control. Every attempt to break you has only shaped you into someone untouchable, someone they will never predict. Silent revenge doesn't need witnesses. It doesn't need applause or validation. It doesn't need anyone to see the moment you reclaim your power. It's the pleasure of knowing deep inside that they will feel the consequences of underestimating you, and there's nothing they can do to stop. You don't scream. You don't post. You don't announce your return. You simply rise. And when they finally notice, it's too late. They will see the version of you that walked through fire, climbed from the ashes, and became unrecognizable. They will sense the change in your presence, the strength in your silence, the power in your restraint, and it will haunt them, because they will remember every moment they doubted you, every time they dismissed you, ignored you, or laughed at you. They will feel the weight of their miscalculation. That is the beauty of silent revenge. It's not visible until it's complete. And when it strikes, it's irreversible. Your silence becomes your signature. Every move you make is calculated. Every decision is precise. They can guess. They can watch. They can try to follow, but they will never reach you. You are no longer playing by their rules. You are no longer reacting to their games. You have stepped beyond their reach, beyond their understanding, beyond their world entirely. The greatest revenge is living well. But silent revenge is living in a way that reminds them of everything they lost. It's about walking into rooms with your head held high, your steps deliberate, your gaze steady, and knowing that the air itself has changed because you exist in it now. Every look they give you is a reminder of the power they once ignored. Every word they speak carries the weight of their regret. Every failed attempt to affect your life confirms that you are untouchable. Silent revenge is not just about them. It's about proving, in the most personal and intimate way, that no one has control over your destiny but you. That every scar, every betrayal, every loss, every doubt has been transformed into a weapon of your own creation. That the person they thought they could break has not only survived but has thrived, risen, and become far beyond their comprehension. You don't need their recognition. You don't need their fear to be liked. The satisfaction comes from knowing you've built something unassailable, something permanent. You've turned your past into your power, your pain into your strategy, and your silence into a force that speaks louder than any scream ever could. And when they finally realize it, it will be too late. Too late to stop it. Too late to reach you. Too late to undo the person you have become. Silent revenge is the art of winning without them ever knowing how. It's the storm that was there all along, waiting quietly, and now it's unstoppable. Please like, comment, and subscribe to Twist Mind if this hit your